Miami, 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 Miami. It feels like Miami.
Welcome to the Heat Beat Podcast live from the Rock Esports Center. I'm your host, Giancarlo Navas. Behind me is Professional Screw-Up Alex Toledo, and with me today, reality check master, host of Mixed Bag, Tiffany Meeks.
What's up? What's up? Yo, my T-shirt looking like I borrowed it from G. Hold up. Let me fix my collar.
Your collar. My collar's nice today. My skin's glowing. My collar's nice.
It's my old
thriving.
David Bowie. It's my old David Bowie shirt. I had it for years.
I'm thriving. We got Siobhan on. What's up, Vaughn?
Hello, people.
Lot to get into.
Hello.
What's up, Alex? What's up?
What's up,
Oh,
everyone?
Troppy.
Right now, shout out Rock Esports and shout out G for coming, unlike some of my other 5 Reasons colleagues.
Shout out to Rock Esport providing the setup out. Close the door to keep the noise out. Shout out to Rock Esport for providing the setup. They had a watch party. They had a watch party here. I came out to support our good friends, 5 Reasons, and we had a post game to do, and they provided me with a setup, a camera, a mic, headphones, a computer, all that good stuff. So shout out to the good people here. This is where I play my Super Smash Melee tournaments. So I love to support local businesses. I love to support the people that help out in the community and give people a place to game and people a place to have community. So we love that. But guys, there's a basketball game today. As chat says, my camera is for sure going to work today because I have it's not my own. So they're right. Guys, let's get into the game because I know that they lost. But I actually feel pretty good because they were missing some key rotation players in Highsmith and Josh Richardson. And I think that those guys not being available made the difference because I felt at times, oddly enough, today their guards were great. Dru Smith was pretty fantastic, and Kyle Lowry really showed the fuck out. And really, they just didn't have enough wings. At that Hawkins' inexperience showed. Of course, game 2 against Tatum, not the best way to start the NBA, but Vaughn, I want you to start with the positives from today, and I think that has to start with the guard play.
Yeah, shout out to Kyle. Kyle's at the stage in his career. Shout out to you. He's at a stage in his career where, you probably don't, I guess, the probability that you get this every night, it's slimming, but he's intelligent. He's still smart. Good to see the lift on his shot. Good to see him doing the things that he does defensively, especially with regards to rotating over and helping on bids. He had the slap down, the strip on KP, shit that we've seen, be a staple of his defensive game. He turned the corner decently. He's always, I felt like, been able to kind of turn the corner. He just doesn't go up once he gets there under the basket. But, I'm someone who I appreciate kind of just being able to get there. And then if you don't have the layup, I don't want you setting yourself up to get pinned, make the kick out, make the other read, see if we can get, some collapse somewhere. And so, yeah, I like, what we kind of got from him today. And then shout out to Dru. There's, a bunch of talk about, what he isn't, what he, doesn't have, this, that, and the third. And I understand being displeased with what the guard room is, the point guard room is. But I think at some point we kind of have to, be honest and kind of looking at what is there. And I feel like game after game, he feels to settle in a little bit more. You can kind of see his confidence growing a little bit just in the way that he pounds the ball. He blew by JT one time and got to step on him and kicked it back to Thomas Bryant, who missed the elbow jump shot. But just, I think little things like that, kind of just seeing him, come up to speed or whatever. And then if he can knock down shots, Kyle saw Dru stealing his mins and said, nah, shout out to Carlos Young. But if he can knock down shots off of the relocation, then I think that he's at least neutral for them. He's little, so he's going to get scored over. People like, oh, JT bullied him. I'm like, Jason's supposed to do that. Like Jalen is supposed to do these things. Drew's stronger than like all three of those. I think are.
They did it to Gabe. I mean, Gabe did a good job.
They did it all the time. And Gabe got hella flack for it. Oh, Gabe can't guard Chris Middleton. No, he can't guard Chris Middleton. That's not his fault. So,
people matters, people.
People mad that Spo has Dru and Colin at the same time, so Dru catch the strays. I'm like, that's not his fault. But shout out to what we got from the point guards today.
I want to, before I get to Tiff on Dru Smith, I want to say I was somebody who was a big Dru Smith skeptic, and I'm still not like all the way there. But today, I kind of see what Spo sees. He's very active. He has a knack for disrupting plays, and they like guys like that. He made his threes today. Now, is that going to be something that's going to be consistent? I think he leaves a lot to be desired as a ball handler, as a pick and roll threat. But they, clearly Spo sees something. And on a night like tonight, where you got good guard play from Kyle and from Tyler Hero, particularly the first half, his kind of dribble penetration wasn't that important to like what they were doing. So I see what Spo sees. He's a guy. I think today you kind of see why Spo likes him so much.
Yeah.
So I want to cut him a little slack because I've been hard on him on Twitter as well. But I want to listen. He played a very good game today. I thought he was active. He made key and timely shots on the road, which is in a tough place to play. Tiff, I left. To be honest with you, the most impressed I've been with him in a Heat uniform ever.
Listen, him and Kyle tonight did what they needed to do. Do we want more? Yeah, but here's the thing. They played really good, and I'm not going to lie, and I know people are not going to like it, but you wasted that.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. You're not getting that every night from both of them. You're not. And we can pontificate and we can say all the things, but the reality is Kyle is on the other side of, what is he, almost 40? And Dru is still this whole like mashugana mishmash of whatever. We don't even know what he is yet. So it's like you got steady play from the two of them, and you needed to win that.
Tiff, they got 50 points from those three players. They scored 111 today. That's, if you were to tell you that, oh, you'll get 50 points from your backcourt, you're thinking, oh my God, they're probably gonna win. And that doesn't even count Duncan's 9. With Duncan's 9, that's literally over half their points for the day.
But I said to you earlier, and the problem with that is that now you saw what the offense looks like if Tyler has to be completely the guy. He ran out of steam, and he ran out of steam on both ends. So you got that, and then I don't think Jimmy was fucking around. I don't think Jimmy's ready yet. I don't think Jimmy's in season ready because he had no off season and he's got no lift yet. He's not ready. And that's the problem because they didn't need Jimmy to do Jimmy things. They just needed Jimmy to show up.
Yeah. Jimmy Butler on the night, he had 14, 5, and 3 with a steal and a block. He was 3 for 11, which is just really not great. Yeah. He took somehow 9 free throw attempts. And again, Jimmy's Jimmy. He never turns the ball over. Had 1 turnover,
right,
and 1 foul. So the mistakes were to a minimum, but the missed shots were really
right. Good. But okay, so to the comment, what Fig said, no, he had no off season. He didn't play at all this off season. He didn't play in one single game.
Yeah,
I think what Tiff's meaning is that he had no preseason.
I mean preseason. Yeah. I'm sorry. That's what I mean. That's
That's how I heard it too. Yeah.
That's what I mean. He had no preseason, he had no time with these guys on the court. This is not the same team as last year.
NBA rhythm.
Yes.
Nope, none. He has none. He's been blocked 100 times in 10 minutes. Like, this is crazy.
He doesn't have early season NBA. Early season, people have their bursts. People are
he has none.
He doesn't have that yet.
He
doesn't have it yet.
Which is not a good sign. That's not a good sign. Well, let's get into. Let's talk about Jimmy, then we'll get into Kyle. Because Vaughn, it's not just a block shot. It's just like there were several possessions where they're running offense and Jimmy's in the corner. And that's not really helping anybody because Jimmy got helped off. Like, they're not vacating him like PJ Tucker or Jay Crowder or Trevor Ariza like they did, but they're still cheating off of him. And I do think that affected some of Bam's finishing when he didn't get Porzingis isolated. I thought they found a lot of success with that. But when Bam would kind of go to the dribble, that help comes because they're really not worried about that Jimmy shot. And he's not helping if he's standing in a corner. You're not that kind of threat like if you're Tyler Duncan.
Can I say something to Bond?
Yeah, no, go. Please go.
Bond, did you notice, though? Because it goes right back to this. When Jimmy was in the corner a lot of times, where was his hands?
On his legs.
On his knees.
On his knees.
So what does that mean?
Yeah, I don't know. That's I don't know if that's windedness or just I'm not entirely sure. It's something there. And G, to your point, I saw you tweet that, and so like JT was his primary defender in those situations, and I'm thinking like, okay, is this keep Jason out of the defensive action? Is this a that? But no, like you just said, there were times where, you know, Jimmy's there in the corner. Jason is his defender, but Jason is still helping off. Jason is still recovering and able to kind of clog the lane. And I agree with the idea that, you know, you're not really helping much happen there because now you're forcing Tyler to dominate the ball, or you're forcing Kyle to try to, you know, and a lot of time when Jimmy was in the corner, it was Tyler with the ball. And, you know, we had feelings about on ball versus off ball Tyler and, you know, all of these types of things. And, you know, I don't know. I'll be interested in how much longer that lasts, I guess, how long it takes Jimmy to ramp up, how long it, you know, how much longer do we see him kind of just camping out in the corner and, you know, letting everything else kind of happen around him.
Tiff, for me, it's like he'll sleepwalk to these like counting stats. Like he got to the line 9 times somehow, right? But that's not an indicator to me of like that he's in form. What to you is like the tell? Is it the lift? Is it the finishing? Is it the playmaking? What to you, Tiff, is like the sign of, okay, this is a guy that's engaged, that's at speed. What is the tell for you as a former player?
When he swipes and misses the ball like 5 or 6 times when he's in the passing lanes. That's what, because he was late. He was late 5 or 6 times swiping at the ball and got beat every single time. That's timing. You're not ready. You're not with the speed of the game. He has no lift on his shot whatsoever. He's not getting past people, and more importantly, he ain't using that body getting to the basket. Because listen, tonight, late game, this is why I'm like, who's the guy that's going to break these defenders down and get to the basket? Who's that guy? He wasn't doing it. He didn't do it in the first game, and he's not doing it now.
That's a great point. And his shot selection too was weird. There was like one, when you talk about not beating guys, there was a play where he goes baseline, could not beat anybody, ends up coming on the other side and takes a really bad contested turnaround. That's J.R. Smith kind of stuff. You know what I mean? That's like what like goofy role players like do when like they, you know, not to like, you know, when guys who don't have the kind of ball skills to get anywhere, they end up in a situation where they got to throw up a shot that they might not be super comfortable with. And that's kind of what this game felt like tonight. So hopefully he can kind of find that rhythm. Let's talk about Kyle, then we'll get into Bam some. Kyle, listen, to me, the 5 assists and 8 rebounds are more important than the 13 points. He shot the ball 7 times. Congratulations, Twitter. You got your wish. He was 5 for 7, 3 for 4 from 3, which is really, really good. As Bond kind of said at the top, he was super active defensively. Only had 1 turnover, which is huge. But like him being active on the boards, Bond, I thought was like significant, and just like the all-around game that he brings, other than just the guy who's scoring.
Yeah, I think the 8 rebounds, even a bit more than the 5 assists, you know, kind of do it for me. I love assists as a stat, and I think that from a setup standpoint, you know, the setup man deserves a lot of the credit, depending on how assists come. If it's, you know, drive and kick, those are pretty, you know, basic things, but they're important things to do. But to secure second chance opportunities and to limit another team's second chance opportunities by way of defensive rebounding, I think, is important. And we've seen this group require rebounding from multiple positions other than just their bigs. And so to get that from Kyle and, it coming into his hands and he can be the one to start the break and to kick it ahead and things like that, rather than it being, a big getting it, then having to get it to him and then, an extra 2 passes or whatever. I feel it's important. I think it's a good thing for the group. So I agree. I've just encouraged, or not even encouraged, because I don't like, I haven't
you have not been a Kyle Doomer. You have not been like it. You don't think, you've not once said that guy's trash, get him away.
That's why thank you for that.
You're not like that. You sometimes say like, hey, can we move him for maybe a couple pieces to help their depth or whatever, but you're not like a doomer on him.
Yeah, and that's why I didn't even want to say encourage. Like, I've just come into the season thinking, he was going to be asked, because that's not true. But like, it is good to see him be able to, be productive and get certain actions and certain things off and contribute in ways outside of the primary ball handling responsibilities, such as, rebounding the ball.
I think that tonight is a super replicable game for him. Be active on the boards, kind of score around 8 to 13 points, get the playmaking up to. I like the assist numbers a lot because I just think their offense is going to need it. And I know people are going to say like that's like bare minimum for a $30 million player. He's 38 years old, and if he contributes like that, they're going to be good. They're going to be good. And I think tonight was an example of like, you saw what they can look like if he can help lift some bench units that are going to need his ball handling. And because they have young guys on this team, Hawkins, Smith, some of those guys aren't like super ready for that responsibility.
Yeah, I also just think that like what's also important to note, this was a big game and he got up for a big game.
On the road.
Like that to me is very important, that he can still find it wherever he needed to find to get up for a big game.
Against a good defensive team as well. A good defensive team on the road with a lot of size that puts size on him.
Yep.
And he beat guys off the dribble. And that to me is a welcome sign. That's something that he's not going to have every night, but he was shooting off the handoffs, he was shooting off the pick and roll when he was open. And I don't know if you guys saw, when he was off ball, he was calling for it. Often. Alex and I here at the watch party at Rock, we were like, look, man, he like really, it almost felt like he was making a point to like, hey, I will shoot, get me the fucking ball, which I think is good. You need him. I think him not shooting is just bad for everybody.
Especially if he's one pass away. Like if he's, like when he's near the action, he has to feel like a live body and like a
Absolutely. So super encouraged by that. Tiff, did you have something to add before we
No.
Bam?
No, go ahead.
Let's get into Bam. By the way, Kyle, second leading rebounder on the team after Kevin Love, that's a problem. But we can get into that.
That's a big problem.
We can get into that with a big fella. 35 minutes, 27 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, 2 blocks. 2 amazing blocks. 41% from the field, 10 of 24. That's the number that I'm going to look at. 7 of 9 from the line. Getting to the line again 9 times. That's really, really big time for him. I'll go to Bond, then I'll go to you, Tiff. I think the finishing with Bam has been a problem early on in the season. I thought, I kind of chalked up that Detroit's just kind of like a funky, long team. Tonight it was also an issue, and the help wasn't like super big guys. I mean, he was missing. It's those layups, right? It's those finesse layups that I think we expect him to make that he's missing. Bonner, should we be concerned, or is this just like some early season rust?
I think concerned is a bit strong. It might be more than just rust though. Yeah. So like KP's long and he's not.
He was getting beat though. He was.
And so so he was beating him off of the dribble, but he's long enough to recover and he's not a noodle. Like he's not frail. Like KP has enough kind of size, girth, strength to him to where he can, again, with the length, he can recover. I think some of the things that I worry about with Bam, I want to see him continue to, so when he picks a dribble up on the block and he kind of gets swallowed up a bit, he'll give you like the pivots a bit on the right side of the basket, pivoting kind of off the left, but you don't really see him operating on the block on the left side pivoting and kind of giving you other things. How many of KP's 6 fouls were on Bam? I don't know,
At least four.
At least
At least
four.
No, it's genuinely so. I don't know. The finesse, Bam plays with finesse. It's a lot to get beat up, but hopefully we see, a little bit different.
Right.
But again, it's matchup kind of depending too.
Right.
Tiff, should we be concerned about big fellas finishing or, early season rust?
I think it's a combination of both. Like we had this conversation about him last year about his finishing. Like that's like part of that is who he is. It's habit forming. Like these are habits that Bam has.
Yes.
And
they
some way
reinforced.
Exactly. So it's a few things that he's just going to have to break those habits. But I also kind of want to give Bam credit about sticking to it,
yes,
because there were a lot of points in the offense where he had no space to operate, where you didn't really have shooters on the court. So he's trying to operate against a 7-footer with Derek White and his freaking incredible wingspan digging down at the ball as he's trying to operate, and there's no outlet for the ball. So I do give him a lot of credit for at least sticking with it and trying to, make fetch happen, because he did that a few times tonight.
He did. No, he did. And I think that he has made it an early season point to be aggressive and to really it's very pedal to the metal. It's stuff downhill. He's using the jumper, Bond, I think, in the ways that we've always asked, as a counter, not as a feature. And I think that his priority is going to the rim, and I think that's reflected in the free throw numbers that he's gotten early. Against two big teams. Boston has some bigs. Although I think very notably, I think you see the difference when Rob Williams is not on their team. Their big rotation is a lot shorter, and I don't think Boston had the same kind of physicality that we're used to defensively. So that's going to be another kind of interesting subplot going forward. But yeah, so that was kind of the thing with Big Fella. I mean, he had a really strong first half. Kind of his shooting percentage really fell off in the second half. But I liked kind of he wasn't trying to score off post ups. It was a lot of he'd get the ball in the post and then he'd face up, make a move, go to the basket. He's not scared of Porzingis. And guys, as we kind of wrap up our closing thoughts, the reason why they lost the game and we're kind of uppity, or at least I'm uppity about this, not just because Kyle had a good game, but because they played Boston on the road, where on a night where Jimmy clearly was 100% out of sorts, that a couple 50-50 calls didn't go their way. And, they have a guy who we imagine in Haywood Highsmith who's going to probably start for them by the season end, and Josh Richardson, who's going to be kind of a big part of their guard rotation. And this is the worst Jovic is going to be, because he's going to get better as the season goes on. And all of that.
You say Jovic or?
I'm sorry, Hawkins.
Okay.
Too many J's. We got too many J's on the team. And I think all of that combined, and the Celtics barely won at home. I feel good. I don't know, guys. I feel good, and that's why I'm sitting here at the Rocky Sports Center doing this post game with you guys, and I'm I ain't worried. I ain't worried.
Yeah. I mean, there are things
Caleb out too. Absolutely, yeah.
There are things that need work. There are things that need addressing, but I don't feel that there's any reason to pound the alarm right now. Dru had a good game for them. KP showed you what KP brings to them. Jason finished somewhere in 30. Jalen had it, and you lost by 8 on some late.
They did a great job on Tatum. Shout out to Hawkins, who defended Tatum a lot. Really, did as best as he could.
He
right.
What? Go ahead, Tiff.
No, I like that Spo threw him in there.
Yes.
Go ahead and get baptized. Know what that feel like right now, game 2. It's easier to do it now than game 40. Just go ahead, put him in there and see what happens.
Yeah.
And they survived the Derek White game. Derek White was he the leading scorer in the game? He had 28 points or something. He had 28 points on 9 for 15 shooting, 7.
Hamish going to have something to say about that in the rematch.
Correct.
Because that's not,
This is a matchup that Highsmith is most important to.
Because this is his matchup. His wingspan, his strength. Like this is his matchup.
Like Milwaukee's a little too big for him, but this is
It's perfect.
This is his zone. This is
you put him. You can throw him on Jason. You can throw him on Jalen. You put him on Jalen. Now we can put Bam kind of on KP. We don't have to play Kevin as much. Like he does a lot with at the very least for their defensive rotation.
Right. I want to wrap up in the next few minutes. A couple quick hitter things. I thought that Kevin Love show and recover became a problem late in the game. I know that Kevin provides some shooting for them, but if you're nodding your head, that one, I think where Dru got a shot at the basket, that was off. They were in rotation because they have to show him so high in the pick and roll that they're trailing on the back end.
Yep.
And then Dru made a smart veteran cut, got to the basket. That last rotation man had no chance. So that's one thing. Like, I know that it's like the popular Twitter thing to say like, okay, Kevin Love shouldn't close. They felt like they were a rotation player or too short today because so that was one thing I noticed. I don't know if you guys want to add before I change gears real quick. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get
I agree.
up on a Friday night.
No, you're right. Especially like when it's Kevin and Kyle kind of involved in the pick and roll, and then it's, Kyle's getting beat and it has to trail, and Kevin, the show is really aggressive that you get splits and the slips and a bunch of different.
Well, that was the problem. The last 4-5 minutes. Yeah. You had when you have Kevin, Kyle, and Tyler, and one of them is constantly getting beat like that. Now you're overcompensating, and now you're turning your head and you're looking, and it just, like I said, we didn't talk about Tyler, but I loved how he started off the game. I love how he just came out aggressive and just was going for it, but he has to find that. There's a gear that he's missing that he needs to hover around a little bit to be able to finish stronger than he did tonight.
I thought he made big shots today, which was really that was a really loud noise. I thought that he made a lot of big shots today down the stretch that they needed. He missed a few as well, but I thought that he was probably their best source of offense late in the fourth quarter. I thought he played well. I was really happy with this game. I agree with what you're saying, but I also think that he's trying to play within his own. And I think we talked about this after the Detroit game, Tiff. I think he's trying to prove something.
There ain't nothing to prove though.
Doesn't have to do that.
Because there were a lot of unorthodox shots that came from him tonight.
Well, I know we're trying to. 12 threes from him.
That's too many.
They want him to shoot, and
I don't mind that. I don't mind that.
I think 12 is a lot.
I think tonight it was too many because you didn't have anything from Jimmy. You needed easy buckets. And you needed to get fouled. You need to get to the line. You needed easy buckets.
I'm okay with that, Tiff. I mean, he shot 42% on those threes today, and I just think that they don't have the guy to get you to the rim. And so being able to shoot off the dribble is the next best thing for given what they have. If he's going to shoot well, and I know it's not ideal because he's not Steph, but if he can shoot a good percentage on that many attempts, I think you just take it because it just gets you need to move the chains.
So the catch and shoot ones, I'm super fine with. Some of them where he's just coming off of the screen or coming off of that brush and kind of just turning and stepping into it. They're fine shots. Sometimes there were a couple tonight that felt not rushed, but and not, I don't know, maybe it is a little bit rushed or a little bit out of place. Tried his ass off on defense. Yeah, kept their offense clicking. I agree. So I don't know. They feel, especially when I think the line between good and bad sometimes literally is whether or not they go in, and it's unfair. But some of them, especially when it's a lull, and then we get breaks, and then we get leak outs, and then we're giving up stuff in transition. I'm
going to put some of that on Spoban because I thought the lineup that he played, Thomas Bryant.
Oh, that's not his lineup. That is not. He should.
I think a lot of those shots that you're talking about are coming there.
They came in there. Yep.
They came there. So it's he's okay, well, I'm getting help. He's getting super helped on because, and again, it's hard to make that pass in the trees because they know that Duncan's the only shooter that matters in that lineup. And the Celtics are a very smart defensive team. So I agree with everything that you're saying, but I also think that they got to address that bench unit because that's going to be and by the way, putting your 3 worst defenders, I mean, that struggle on offense. And again, I think Dru Smith with that, and I understand the thinking. It's like, okay, well, like Duncan and Tyler are going to be like a microwave offense, and then we can like kind of have Dru Smith there to help out on defense. I just don't see the vision for that unit. I think they're too small. I think even though Dru Smith is a good defender, I think it just doesn't work. And then Thomas Bryant's a bad defender. Obviously, Duncan's not winning any awards. You know, Tyler's trying his ass off, but they gotta tweak that. Hopefully, when Highsmith and Josh come back, we can get a more realized unit. Yeah, as what Fix says, this isn't the bench lineup. We just need help. Absolutely. But
well, we know. We're focusing on tonight, though.
It was a winnable game. It was a winnable game.
It was a winnable game.
And those are the margins that you lose on, like those kinds of things and that. So
all
in all, I'm pretty happy with the performances from today. You know, obviously not with Jimmy and some of the other stuff that we talked about, but real quick on Hawkes, and we can get out of here. Listen, I know that he didn't have a real like stunning showing, and he wasn't like that great, but I think defending Jason freaking Tatum, your second NBA game, that's a big assignment. And the fact that they trusted him and he got after it. You know, Tatum scored some on him and he had the foul on Tatum, but he was not scared of Jason Tatum, and I know that they love that.
Yeah. I mean, you can't really ask for much more. Like you said, second game of your NBA career regarding, you know, top 10, top 15 guy in the league. And like you said earlier, Tiff, baptism by fire straight into it. And they don't have a choice but to do that with him, especially with Caleb, Josh, Haywood being out. So I thought he was fine. Did he try Dru on that dunk?
Girl.
Oh, he tried him. But like he tried it. And I'm not
mad that he tried it.
On the approach, like one dribble away from it as he was going up, he like slowed a little bit. It was very much like
I hope he don't get scared to do it again. I want him to keep.
Gotta do it.
Yeah, he has to keep doing it. He's got to keep doing it.
I appreciate chat rocking with us on a Friday after a loss. You guys came out big tonight. We love you for that. We're here to bring you out. We're off until I believe the next game is Monday. It might be.
It's the Bucks, I think.
Yeah, the Bucks on Monday. We have a special host next Wednesday for Heat Nets. So more information on that later. We'll have a proper announcement on that. So appreciate you guys. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your Halloween weekend. If you're in Miami, have safe fun. Shout out again to the Rocky Sports Center for providing the setup and the watch party that we watched the game with today and this lovely setup. And listen, my camera did not go out once. I know chat, you love that, although somebody in chat
glitching over the last
it has been glitching.
I'm fucking cursed, but it hasn't gone out. It hasn't gone out. One person did say I look like I'm in a hostage room earlier.
They did. Somebody said you look like you're in a laundry room.
Yeah, that was Corneliana. Somebody else said I looked like I was in a hostage room. So appreciate you guys, and we'll talk on Monday. Peace.